Hey YouTube, this is Roger 100 and
Shadow 30 here.
with the Rancor Podcast Weekly. So this is our 5th episode of the Rancor Podcast Weekly, and we thought we should do something about figures this week because last week we talked about a movie, so we decided to do something on figures. So we've been talking about modern figures, but we thought to change it up a bit and talk about vintage figures. So in this episode we're going to be talking about the first 12 figures ever made in the Star Wars action figure line from Kenner. To start off, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the first figure in the first 12 figures of the Kenner line, which is Sand People, or Tusken Raider. But on the packaging, it was called Sand People, even though it's just one guy. So the Sand Person, what about him? You get a vinyl cape with him, which was like a novelty at the time because not many of the figures in this first 12 wave had vinyl capes, so that was just like an added bonus. And it didn't really look very good, but it adds some depth to the figure. And this figure had really nice detailing. The face, they just got it spot on for the time. Same with the lower, like from the head down, it just all looked really good. And I believe that they reused the Emperor legs, or they reused the Tusken Raider legs on the Emperor figure. And yeah, it's just really, really cool. I really like this figure, and it doesn't have very good articulation, but that's besides the point. With the vintage figures, it's more about the nostalgia than the articulation. So I'm gonna go ahead and compare it to the new updated Discover the Force figure, which I have a review up on, and it's called Tusken Raider. Now this is the definitive version, and they got him perfect. Everything is perfect about him. He has the soft goods, his soft goods overcloak, soft goods skirt or comma. Everything looks good. He includes the same accessories as the vintage one, with the difference of the sniper rifle. So obviously the new one's gonna be better, but if you're going for nostalgia, I'd suggest you get the vintage one. If you want definitive and best articulation and everything, go for the new Tusken Raider. So overall, I give the vintage one a 10 out of 10. I give both of them a 10 out of 10. They're both great figures. So that about wraps it up for the Sand People or Tusken Raider, and I'm going to let Jedi30 talk about the next figure, which is Chewbacca.
Alright, so Chewbacca, he was one of the first 4 figures included in the early bird kit. He was a very nice figure, he had basic vintage articulation and everything. He looked really cool. He had a nice head sculpt, but he was a bit weird because during that time period, like they didn't do a very good job on detailing the fur, so he kind of looks like some sort of a wet otter or something. And then but he's a nice figure. He's one of the famous characters from Star Wars. So I bet that figure really really attracted the kids who wanted to get that figure. So it was just a really great it was just a really great figure. Very, very nice. I just love the nostalgia to it. So yeah, that was the vintage Chewbacca. And now we're on to the super articulated one
Let me just add, it was repacked into the Legacy Collection Saga Legends. So just to tell you guys that.
That one, and then it was just really, really great. It had, like I said, tons of articulation. I like how it had like the 3 points of articulation in the waist, and it had very, very nice detailing, just like Chewbacca did in the movie. And he was just really furry, and then he came with a very nice blaster that it even comes in 2 parts. It's really, really detailed, and yeah, just overall great figure. I do own the figure, and it's really, really great.
So yeah, what is your rating on both of these Chewbaccas?
If you're a nostalgia collector, I'd go with the vintage one. But if you like articulation and detail, I'd go with the new one. But I really think that you should just get both of them.
What is your number rating for each one?
Oh, right. I'd say the vintage one is an 8 out of 10 because he has like this he has like sleek fur.
Yeah.
It's like he looks like a wet otter. And but he just looks very, very nostalgic. So I give it an 8 out of 10. And then the new one has a 10 out of 10. He's just got super articulation and detail and everything. But still, I really recommend you pick up both of them.
Yeah, so that wraps it up for Chewbacca, and like Jeb with 30 said, both great figures. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to the next figure in the first 12, which is Luke Skywalker. So we're going to talk about the vintage and the modern like we just did. And so the vintage one, it looks really, really good, but the one problem, there's a few problems with it. It has super yellow hair, and I'll elaborate more on that later on. One of the most one of the biggest things about this figure, like a novelty that everybody wanted it, was because it was one of the only 3 figures in the first 12 wave which had a telescoping lightsaber. And that, if you're younger collectors and you guys don't know what a telescoping lightsaber is, it's where it swivels like the Ken articulation, but under his arm it has like a peg, and you slide it up and a lightsaber comes out of his hand. So it mimics the effect of a lightsaber igniting. Now, another problem with it was the lightsaber was yellow, and we all know in the movies they were blue. But still, great figure. It just looks fantastic. It's Farm Boy Luke Skywalker. Just great looking. Now, the most updated one is the Death Star Escape Luke Skywalker with the minor variation of a Stormtrooper belt, which isn't removable. I have this figure, and it's a great figure. It comes with awesome accessories, such as the grappling hook, a Stormtrooper blaster, and a communicator. And as a throwback or a homage to the vintage one, it has yellow hair. So both of these figures are fantastic. I'd go with the vintage one if you are a nostalgic if you like old toys, vintage toys. And if you're looking for detail and articulation, I'd go with the newest one, which is the Death Star Escape Luke Skywalker. Both are great, but I'm going to have to give the vintage one a 7 out of 10 and the new one a 10 out of 10. So let's let Jedi 30 talk about the next figure in the first 12, which is Princess Leia.
Alright, so Princess Leia, she was, the first female action figure from Star Wars ever made. She was a very nice figure, same articulation. I'm not gonna talk about articulation anymore because, we all know, definitive articulation, swivel head, silver shoulder, silver hips. She looks very, very nice, but she doesn't really resemble Carrie Fisher, but, that's okay because, it was the time. And then, she had a vinyl cape, which, I really like the vinyl capes. I think they look really cool, like science fiction-y. And, but I like soft goods better, but, like vinyl capes are, one of the elements, I believe. I really think that it's one of the elements of the vintage figures. It looks really, really nice. But, the most modern release of Princess Leia and her, her new Hope outfit is the, 2004, I believe, the 2004 version. She's not like the definitive one. I really, really want them to make a new version. She has, I believe she has swivel cut elbows, which, no one really likes, but it's okay. And then, she has, and I don't think she has articulation in the ankles, but everything is just, good. She almost resembles Carrie Fisher. It's pretty good, but, I give the vintage one a 9 out of 10 because, it's the first female figure, and, it's really, really nice, and, it was a great figure for the time. And then I give the new one an 8 out of 10 because, it doesn't really have any articulation. It doesn't really have any good articulation and that, as good detail, but, it's just, I really, really want them to make a new version. There's so much things that they can improve on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that both are great figures, and I still have been unable to pick up the 2004 Vintage Original Trilogy Collection, but it's still a great figure. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to the next figure, which is the Jawa. Now, first thing to talk about with this is there's 2 variations. The original one came with a vinyl cloth, which is the most valuable and rare, or vinyl cape, sorry. And now, since this was one of those half-sized figures, people felt like they were getting ripped off because it's full price for a figure, but it's half the size of a normal figure. So later on in the line, they re-released it with a cloth cape so people could feel like they're getting more value for their money, or more goods for their money. or whatever you want to call it. So the cloth one does not look nearly as good as the vinyl one. It kind of is too big, but it was a both are great, and just can articulation. The detail on this figure was fantastic, and it's just a great figure. Now the most modern release is the Legacy Collection Jawa with the Treadwell droid, I believe, or LED droid, and it was just a half of a dome droid, the black one, if you guys remember from New Hope. And this one had very good articulation. Not exactly sure, but I'm sure it had ball jointed head, ball hinge shoulders, and at least swivel hips and ball hinge knees. I'm pretty sure of that much. So both are great figures. If you're looking for a definitive movie accurate Jawa, I'd go with the Legacy Collection. Again, nostalgia, I'd go with the Jawa. Hey guys, it's round 200, and sorry that I just cut off right there. I found out that I had to do this in 2 parts because our duration can't be longer than 15 minutes. So go ahead and check out part 2 of our podcast, and there'll be a link in the description. So go watch part 2. Thanks.